Welcome to the Hello Lovely podcast with Christie Williams here. I cannot wait to teach you how to be your authentic self so you can live a life you love without beating yourself up and feeling stuck. So hang out with me and I'll show you exactly how to do that. Let's get started. Hello ladies. I have got some exciting news to share with you this week. I am officially employed by myself. Celebrate, bump, 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 ba-down. As of this past weekend, I finished up a role with a company that I was contracting with, which has been an amazing experience. And I am officially just running as CEO of my own business right now, which I have been the CEO and owner of my business for 2 years. But I am now officially putting all of my work into that business as a business owner. And I have had some amazing roles in different companies over, how long has it been? 20 years? A lot longer. I think it's 25 years. Yeah, I think I've been working for 25 years. So working at so many different companies over the years, and I have gotten so many different skills, met so many people, learned a lot. Pretty much at every job I've ever had, I've enjoyed my work there and learning and meeting the people. And now it's just like a new chapter in business for me. Now it's me being a business owner and one day being an employer and outside of just myself. It's just very exciting. It's very exciting. And I want to say thank you to all of the companies I've ever worked with before, if you're listening to the podcast. And I have really enjoyed my journey to this place. It feels so good to be here. Like I said, it's been about 2 years where I've officially been growing this business, Miss Christie Williams. And of course, it wasn't easy. If you are an entrepreneur, you know what I'm talking about. It takes a lot of consistency, fails, getting back up, not wanting to do it, then having days where you're super excited about it, and just being very on purpose and strategic, and then you have a business. But it's funny because you would think at this point that it's kind of like, I'm done, I have the business, but it's really just the beginning. That's the fun thing about having a business or anything, is that there's always so much to learn and experience. Really never get bored, truly, if you don't want to be bored. There's so much available in creation and in life and a lot to celebrate. So I'm doing that today with my business, which leads so nicely in today's topic for the podcast, confidence in your priorities or having priorities. So maybe right now you're thinking, I already know my priorities and I'm already confident in them. And that is super duper. What I want to offer you here is that taking a look at your priorities to make yourself even more in line with them and more confident in them is available to you. So it's asking yourself, why wouldn't I want to be even more in line with my priorities or more confident in them? What I notice comes up for a lot of women is that they worry that things they want to do will take away from their priorities. So even self-care, like real self-care. I'm talking about like putting your oxygen mask on. I'm not just talking about facials or polishing your nails, which are all lovely things. But I'm talking about taking care of yourself so you can be available to take others. So we acknowledge that we have the priorities and they exist in our mind and they're there and we're even taking action doing them. And whatever it is for you, and then we go on our way without really defining how we want to show up for our priority, which is a difference. So there's the priorities that we have, and then it's knowing and defining clearly how we are going to show up for and in line with our priorities. When that is crystal clear, it becomes a lot easier to know what you want to do, not do, and how you want to make decisions moving forward, which is always super empowering for anyone, and especially a woman, because we have a lot of indecision sometimes. So when we don't take time to do this and to really define how we're going to show up in our priorities, just to make it that much more clear for us, there's a lot of pressure in our brains on making decisions instead of a clear heart and mind to make decisions. So consider the difference. When you're making decisions out of pressure, what happens? When you make decisions with a clear mind, what happens? Good to know, right? So the first thing is, in having confidence in your priorities, is defining what your number one priorities are. And I say number one priorities, plural, because I know some of you have different ones that you really want to put really at the top as priority, which of course totally okay because this is your practice for you. So I like to say my number one priorities are my spiritual things, relationship with my creator, and my hubby. So of course that's more than one thing, but I consider those my number one priorities. Now we could just go off from this point and just assuming from memory and what we already know, that's already included in those priorities. But then it's not clearly defined in your mind. And since these things are priorities, it's a very refreshing practice to sit down and write out what that means and how you want to show up there. So that's number one. And this is what I really want to highlight is writing down these answers for yourself. So you can be driving in the car and listening and kind of answering the questions. But the whole purpose of this practice and having confidence in your priorities is going to include writing it down. Okay? So number one, define what your number one priorities are and write those out. After you write those out, you want to ask yourself, what are things that are totally off limits and why? Now this gives your brain a clear view of all of that, which is so valuable because these are things that in your mind, they're in there. And of course you're aware of them some of the times, but they really kind of show up in the moment or when you're trying to make a decision. So it's so valuable to list all those out for yourself so you know what those are. What are the total no-nos for you that you have decided are important to line up with your priorities? This is such a good one, you guys. So the next thing you're going to do is check in to see if you're doing any of those things now and why. How you want to adjust and why. And it really just makes you feel more connected with your priorities, which can only produce really great things. So you're checking in here. You're like, what are my no's? What are the things that I don't want to do so I can line up like the most with the priorities that I have, that I've chosen? And checking in to say, am I doing any of those and why? It just makes it really clear for you how you want to proceed next, which is the whole purpose of this and creating confidence is knowing what you want to do, knowing how to make decisions, knowing what your priorities are in the first place. That produces genuine confidence. So next, ask yourself, what are the actions you want to take to keep your number one's priority? So we already did what are the things that are totally off the table that you have decided don't line up with your priorities and you don't want to do. Now you're asking what are all the things you want to do to keep your number one's priority? And you're going to list them all out on the paper. Don't just think about these in your head, you guys. It won't be super clear and complete. You may get a lot of them here, but it won't be a complete list. Believe me, anything that I put in these podcast episodes is not to add needless work to your life. It's because it helps you get unstuck and confident in your priorities so you can take action there where you want to take it. So if this is something you want to do, take action towards your priorities and feel confident in your priorities, write these down. So once you have all these things listed out, that are your must-haves, must-dos for you that you want to do to line up with your number ones. Ask yourself if you're doing all those things now and why. And if not, why not? It's a good opportunity here to see what things are really the most important to you that may not be getting done. And not to judge yourself here, but to just be super curious to see that this is something that can happen when we're not aware of it. When it hasn't been clearly defined, like by you when you write it down, what you're doing, how you're showing up in your priorities, So remember, this is a practice to not only like show you in your brain what things are your number ones for you, but also how you want to show up there. And that is really how you create that confidence. So the practice of writing it down and asking these questions helps to see what you really want to do. And that's always good to know. So you're going to discover a lot of juicy goodies here. And once you clearly define your priorities and absolutes, take a moment to acknowledge that you want to do these, not have to. You've chosen them because you want to do them. So notice the difference from saying I have to and I want to. Let's do that right now. Think of your priorities, and when you think I have to do them, how do you feel? Maybe it's some pressure. Think of your priorities again. When you think I want to, how do you feel? Maybe it's responsibility, appreciation, commitment. Notice here if you find yourself saying something like, I'm only doing this because it's important, but I don't want to do it. I want you to really check in here and say, why are you doing it? Why did you put them on your list? That's what's so fun here is you're creating this list of your priorities and then saying, I don't really want to do what I'm doing because I have to. Is that even true? You put them on your list because you want to. So interesting, right? So you get to take full appreciation and responsibility here for that instead of adding pressure to yourself by simply saying, I have to. I have to is just a sentence in your head. You'll feel so much more value and appreciation for your priorities instead of saying to yourself, I have to, when you put it on your list as a number one. So when you put it on your list as one of your number ones, it's because you're doing this because it's important to you. Or it's important to the person you're doing it for, like your creator or your husband or your family. And that's important to you. When you take responsibility there, that you've lined up these priorities for you, as your priorities, you will have more confidence in carrying them out. You will have more confidence in showing up for them. And here's why. There are 4 reasons. You'll know exactly what your priorities are. You'll know exactly what you don't want to do to line up with those and why. You'll know what you want to do to take action towards to line up with your priorities and why. And you'll know that you chose these on purpose because it's important to you and you want to. What results from that? Confidence. It doesn't require you to prove these things to anyone else in that moment because they're so close to your heart and in your mind so clearly that then you can make decisions clearly on what is next, which is so beautiful because then you can fully enjoy your life experience in line with your priorities instead of constantly worrying, am I lining up? Am I lining up? You'll have clearly defined those on purpose and can always check back in with them on purpose so you can be confident there. And this practice is actually part of a worksheet and training module that I have in my online course for the Genuine Confidence program. It's only offered as part of my 6-month program. So women who are part of that 6-month program get to use that Genuine Confidence training where one of the modules is confidence in your priorities, which is so valuable to have because when you're confident in your priorities, you automatically start showing up more confidently in other areas because you know you're in line with those and you're open to constantly check back in. So even with this worksheet that I have in my program, I highly recommend my clients continue to do it. Check in every quarter, every month, every year. How has it changed? How has it grown? Always evaluating and adjusting because you can always make adjustments. But in the beginning, it's huge to determine where you are right now. Each one of us is ultimately responsible for the decisions that we're making individually, even when we get feedback and input from other people. So why not check in to see what things that we're choosing and deciding super clear so we can have confidence in our priorities and have confidence in our decisions. And over the next 2 weeks, we're going to talk about confidence in those 2 other areas, confidence in yourself and confidence in your decisions. Because when you have those 3, you know exactly who you are, so it's easier to be yourself, which is what we all want to do as women, is be ourselves and show up authentically in line with our priorities. And doing this practice has been super helpful for me to clearly define what are my priorities and checking in, spiritual things and the relationship with my husband and all the things that fall under that. So important to me. So spending the time to know exactly what they are, what I want to do and not do, and acknowledging how much I want to do them just makes me have that genuine confidence in those areas. And all to the glory of the Creator who gave me a brain and lets me enjoy these things and appreciate these things. So I can't wait to share with you the confidence in those 2 other areas coming up in the next episodes to follow. Confidence in yourself and confidence in your decisions. Have a great week, you guys.
Hey, if you're ready to feel genuine confidence, I invite you to work with me one-on-one. I help women manage negative emotions, stop beating themselves up, and live a life they love. Because when you have genuine confidence, you have the energy to do what's important to you and the tools to create new results. Join me at MissChristieWilliams.com to find out more. That's MSCHRISTIE Williams.com, and I'll see you inside.